the history play was around before Shakespeare, but Shakespeare really can be said to sort of create the genre in that his history plays in the 1590s, wherein he depicted actual events from English history, generally borrowing from well-known narrative sources like Holinshed, can be said to create the genre. No one activated those historical narratives in the way he did, and no history plays were as popular. And it was these plays, even more than the romantic comedies like Midsummer Night's Dream, that launched his career or made him a fixture in the robust London theater scene to the point where in 1598 and he would be attached to the Globe Theatre itself, and in 1603, after the death of Queen Elizabeth, when King James established the King's Men, that would be Shakespeare's troupe. It was quite a mark, of course, to have the king, the sitting monarch, as your patron. But it was the history plays that really did this, and he's famous for two sets of four plays that are often referred to as the first tetralogy and the second tetralogy. The first tetralogy includes the Henry VI play, 1 Henry VI, 2 Henry VI, 3 Henry VI, and Richard III, the famous play about the king that Shakespeare turned into a malevolent hunchback. And then the second tetralogy, which begins with Richard II, that's the play we're taking a look at it, includes the two Henry IV plays, 1 Henry IV and 2 Henry IV, the great story of Prince Hal and Falstaff. And then the creme de la creme, the most popular of the history plays, Henry V, which celebrates perhaps the most romantic figure in English monarchical history. The young Prince Hal becomes King Henry V, who wins at the Battle of Agincourt, but dies young. So we've got these two sets of four plays called the First Tetralogy and the Second Tetralogy, and the history play that we're looking at is Richard II, the first of the Second Tetralogy. Intriguingly, though, Richard II takes us further back in actual history than the first tetralogy. In other words, when Shakespeare writes about Henry VI and Richard III, he's actually depicting fairly recent history. He's depicting the history of 100 or so years before his time. When he goes all the way back to Richard II and the two Henry IV and Henry V plays, he's almost doing what in movie parlance is called a prequel. He's going back even before then. And Richard II is such a critical figure in English history because as depicted in the play, his rule on the throne was usurped by Henry IV, Bolingbroke, who became Henry IV. Bolingbroke, in turn, is the link to the Tudor dynasty. And the Tudor dynasty, of course, is so important because the Tudors were on the throne in the figure of Queen Elizabeth when Shakespeare was writing all these plays. So he was under particular pressure. However you depicted the lineage of the ruling family was critical. And this made discussing the Richard II story particularly vexed. Because on the one hand, Henry IV, or Bolingbroke, is the link to the Tudor family, so you can't make him the villain. At the same time, Richard II was on the throne by divine right. And so his usurpation was a problem. What to do. In other words, if you depict usurping a divinely inspired king or a divinely inspired monarch, you threaten the legitimacy of the sitting monarch, Queen Elizabeth. And that would be very, very bad for any playwright to do. In fact, there's a wonderful story, and this is in 1602, when Earl of Essex, one of Queen Elizabeth's many suitors, but also a very powerful figure in England himself, staged a mini rebellion. And in order to inspire the folks that were going to help him with this rebellion, the night before the event took place, he staged a production of Shakespeare's Richard II. And Queen Elizabeth famously said, "I am Richard II. No, you not that." In other words, it was clearly apparent to contemporaries that that play and the usurpation of the monarch could be turned into political propaganda in the current moment. So that's one reason we're going to be looking at Richard II.